What if a massive military attack, designed to stop a country from getting a nuclear weapon, actually became the main reason they decide to build one? This isn't a hypothetical question. This is the dangerous paradox at the heart of the Iranian nuclear crisis today. And understanding it is key to understanding our future. Following recent powerful airstrikes on its core nuclear facilities at places like Fordo and Natanz, the world is trying to piece together the aftermath. The United States government has claimed the operation, reportedly named Midnight Hammer, was a resounding success, obliterating key infrastructure with massive 30,000-pound bombs. But a deeper analysis, highlighted by the Wall Street Journal, reveals a far more complex and perilous reality. To grasp the gravity of this moment, we need to rewind slightly. In 2015, the world powers and Iran signed a landmark agreement, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. The goal was simple: grant Iran relief from crippling economic sanctions, and in exchange, strictly limit its nuclear program to ensure it would take at least one full year to produce enough fissile material, the key ingredient for a weapon. This one-year buffer was called the breakout time, and it was considered a crucial safety margin for the world. But in 2018, everything changed. The US withdrew from the agreement and reimposed a maximum pressure campaign. In response, Iran began to methodically dismantle the limits of the deal. It installed more advanced centrifuges and enriched uranium to higher purities. By this year, that critical one-year breakout time had shrunk dramatically. Some experts estimated it was down to a matter of weeks or even days to produce the raw fuel for a single bomb. The recent strikes were meant to violently reset that clock. But the real question isn't just about how much physical damage was done. The real story is about a political calculation. This is where we move beyond the headlines of explosions and disruption and into the high-stakes thinking of a nation's leadership. This is the part that truly matters. For Iran's leaders, the decision to build a bomb has always been a monumental gamble. It's a race against the clock. They would have to bet that they could complete the entire process, from enrichment to building a core to weaponization, before the US and Israel could detect their activities and intervene decisively. Any delay in that timeline dramatically increases the risk. Michael Singh, a former senior official at the US National Security Council, emphasizes this point. He says, if they start their breakout effort and it takes them 3 more months, that's a lot of time to respond. It gives you time to detect it. It gives you time to mount a response. So a delay of a few months, which might sound short, is a strategic lifetime. It creates a prolonged window of vulnerability that could, in theory, dissuade Iran from ever taking that gamble. However, and this is the core of the paradox, the strikes may have fundamentally altered the motivation behind the gamble itself. Top analysts are now deeply concerned. They worry the attacks, far from being a deterrent, have been interpreted by hardliners in Tehran as proof that diplomacy is a dead end, that their enemies will stop at nothing to destroy them. In this view, a nuclear weapon transforms from a tool of aggression into the ultimate insurance policy, the only true way to guarantee the regime's survival.
As former US diplomat Alan Eyre, who worked on the original nuclear deal, bleakly noted, paradoxically, we might have strengthened their resolve to seek a nuclear weapon now. When a country's defensive strategy is proven to have failed so spectacularly, it is forced to seek a new, far more powerful one. This new reality sends shockwaves globally. A nuclear-armed Iran, or even the perception of a dash towards one, could trigger the nightmare scenario for global security: a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Nations like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, or Egypt might feel compelled to start their own programs, shattering decades of non-proliferation efforts. The entire architecture of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or NPT, could crumble. For the global economy, this level of instability means chronic uncertainty in energy markets, and a chilling effect on investment in one of the world's most vital regions. So, where does this leave Iran? The regime now stands at a strategic crossroads, with three distinct and dangerous paths forward. 1. The covert dash. They could try to reconstitute their program in secret, using hidden facilities and undeclared materials to race for a bomb. The advantage is the element of surprise. The disadvantage is the immense risk of being discovered, which would almost certainly trigger a wider war. 2. The diplomatic path. They could return to the negotiating table, agreeing to verifiable, long-term limits on their program in exchange for the lifting of sanctions. The advantage is economic recovery and international reintegration. The disadvantage is that hardliners would see it as capitulation, leaving them feeling permanently vulnerable. Or the third, and perhaps most probable option, the hybrid strategy. They could attempt to do both. Engage in public diplomacy to buy time and ease international pressure, while simultaneously and quietly advancing their nuclear capabilities in the shadows. This is a difficult balancing act, one that erodes trust with all parties and still carries the risk of discovery. Complicating everything is the information black hole. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, Rafael Grossi, confirms that Iran's fundamental capabilities remain intact. The knowledge is there. He says Iran could have centrifuges spinning again in a matter of months or less. Furthermore, the IAEA had already lost the ability to track Iran's manufacturing of new centrifuges years ago, and has spent 6 years trying to find out what happened to a vast archive of equipment from Iran's pre-2003 weapons program. Ultimately, the technical timeline for a bomb, a few months for a crude device, and maybe 1 to 3 years to engineer a warhead small enough for a missile, is now secondary. The most important clock is no longer technical, but political. It's the clock inside the mind of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. For years, the U.S. intelligence community has assessed that he had not authorized a full-scale weaponization program. The recent strikes did not end the Iranian nuclear threat. They have put that critical political decision into stark relief. The world is no longer just waiting on machines to spin. It's waiting on a single, fateful choice. What do you believe Iran's next move will be? And what should the world's response be? Share your detailed thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more in-depth global analysis.